With me in the studio is Joel Howard-Taylor, Vice President of Liberia. She's here in Benin for the World Health Summit. Madam Howard-Taylor, many thanks for your time. Now, we just saw a report of how DRC is struggling to tackle Ebola. Liberia has been successful in dealing with the disease. How are you working together with affected countries to tackle this epidemic?
As a result of the Ebola epidemic in Liberia, a surveillance reporting system was put in place. It's a regional one across West Africa. There is a whole team of medical personnel that have been trained to deal with it. I'm not sure if we've gotten any requests from the DRC, but I think the information that was provided during our processes are free to the members of the African Union on how we tackled Ebola and how we were able to defeat it amongst the 3 countries that were heavily affected. So there's an issue of early detection, surveillance, getting them to the clinics that are necessary, and dealing with the disease so it doesn't spread beyond where it is. Containment is critical.
Exactly. Now, you're calling for world leaders and politicians to prioritize implementation of universal health coverage. But many in your own country complain about the lack of health equipment, lack of drugs, high maternal mortality. So how serious is your government about health coverage?
And I think all of us as national governments that have signed on to the Sustainable Development Goals project, which says leave no one behind, must continue to work towards this. If you look across the African spectrum and maybe across West Africa, I don't think you'll find any country that has universal health coverage. What we're doing at this point is looking at all of the options that are available so we can begin initially with children under 5 and pregnant women. I think that proposal is being worked on by the Ministry of Health, and we're hoping we can get it online as soon as possible, taking into consideration all of the other issues that we have. But universal health coverage is not just providing an option for someone to go into a facility. Like you say, is making sure that those facilities are up to par, that the laboratories are actually working so that when you do your testing, people will know that you have a particular disease and not the other one. So we're working on those issues. We have a few health facilities that are being upgraded. We're building some new ones. The president has initiated a process where we're looking at a hospital for the military, particularly for those in the Secret Service and security and military installations so that they too have access. So we're doing the best we can. It's a very costly thing, as you know, but we just have to start one installation at a time.
Yeah. I guess the challenge is for Liberians to understand this because there's been recent protests for health officials were involved, complaining about the state of health facilities and all. Your government came to power promising to fight poverty and, of course, corruption. But many Liberians say they don't see any improvements since President Ria came into power. What do you say?
I say that governance and growth and development is a process. It's not an event. And our government is trying. We've put in place a pro-poor agenda framework for health and education and infrastructure development. The president's first agenda item is infrastructure development. During the rainy seasons, which last 6 to 9 months, half of the country is cut off. You can't get medicines, you can't get any kind of equipment there. And so he thought the first thing to do was to ensure that the roads there are being done.
Is it a case of priority here? Because many are complaining.
It is a case of priority. If there's still
corruption, if there's still poverty and nothing has changed, is this the first step to take?
The first step is that people are separated and it shouldn't be. People should be able to get through the rest of the country to provide the services. Where those services are available in Monrovia, in some of the urban areas, again, we're building. But there are areas in the southeast that has no access. And I think if we talk about leaving no one behind, we must ensure that everybody has access. He's also working on an agriculture part of it, which I think is our greatest strength, because we do have the last rainforest in the Guinea-Liberian quadrant of our region. And we're trying our best to put in place implements for food security and allowing the young people to go and work and help us use what we have in our hands to make our country secure in terms of food security. And then the other things will fall into place.
We will end it here. I always say there should be more time for these discussions. Madam Joel Howard-Taylor, Vice President of Liberia, thanks for your time.
It's been a privilege. Thank you for putting an eye on what we're doing in Liberia. We'll continue to do our best.